Strange things are happening, my friends. This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well. We got so many things to cover in this video. We have this absolutely hilarious video that came out from the Fed. I'm going to play it right now. And actually, we're going to get into a ton of stuff in this video. You won't believe what company just went under overnight. A massive company. And there's actually two huge companies that went under over the last 48 hours. I'm going to get into that. We're going to get into a ton of other stuff. What's going on? Of course, also our wonderful Prez are trying to backpedal on what he said about us, calling us garbage. And of course, 45 completely trolling him by driving up in a garbage truck. All right. We'll get into a ton of stuff. Let me just play this clip. It's so hilarious. Check this out.
You've described calls for widespread tariffs as deeply misguided, and the IMF today has warned that such policies will dent global growth. Can you elaborate more on the near-term economic impact of these policies and over a longer time horizon? How concerned are you about the potential impact of the dollar's status as the world's reserve?
So basically, the seal for our country fell right when she asked, are you concerned about the dollar and its reserve status in the world with all these policies and everything going on in our economy? And it falls exactly when she asks the question. She even goes on to laugh at the irony of it.
Reserve currency.
I think that answered the question right there, because clearly they were talking against 45's ideas of using tariffs to sort of rein in all these countries. We've seen all this chaos, of course, going on in the world right now. Tariffs worked quite well when he was in last time. And he's saying that he could actually get rid of the income tax totally, potentially, with tariffs. Of course, he's saying at first he's going to just lower taxes, but it could ultimately end up you have zero taxes to pay in the future. Sounds really nice to me, but actually, if you look at their plan, it's the exact opposite. They want to raise taxes, and I'm going to show you that in a minute here. But it's astounding what's going on right now, my friends. Guess what restaurant just went under overnight? Applebees. Another one. We have two of them now. We got two. We got Applebees, files for bankruptcy, closes 8 locations. We also have, of course, TGI Fridays, and this was from the day before. TGI Fridays abruptly closes 50 locations as reported bankruptcy approaches. So both companies. And I remember going to Applebee's, I think it was about 10 years ago, and they used to have this deal. 2 entrees for $20. Can you even imagine that? Now you can't even get a French fry for $20. You know what I mean? It's like insane now. You go to Applebee's, it'll be like $30 for one entree now. It used to be 2 entrees for $20 10 years ago at Applebee's. I remember I used to go there with my wife when we first got married, and we would get that, or we get the 2 for $25, and then it eventually became $30, and I don't even know what it is now. Probably 2 for $50 or some ridiculous price. But yeah, so that company is going out of business. It looks like. I mean, it's filed for bankruptcy at least. TGI Fridays. You have a ton of other stories going on. We have this also. What is the surprise for this month? Now that we're at the end of the month, Halloween. Well, I think they were ultimately trying to, of course, cancel, some big YouTubers like Ben Shapiro, Benny, what's his last name, Johnson, and a number of other ones. They're trying to get their ads, of course, canceled. Of course, perfect timing. Right before everyone chooses who the next prez is, of course they're going to try to do that. They did that last time. Didn't they do that last time? I'm pretty sure they did that last time. They did it last time. So that was supposedly their big surprise from what I could tell. And it didn't work. At least it hasn't worked yet. Seems to be backfiring because we're seeing a ton of other things come out as a result of this. We're seeing the job market go under. We have also a Pepsi plant that closed overnight. Let me play this really quick. And like I said, we're going to get into a ton of stuff. We're going to get into the whole Joe Rogan thing and a lot of other stuff, actually. We have a lot of other things to talk about. And also this bizarre clip. We're going to get into a bizarre clip at one of her rallies. Let's just play this first. So this has to do with PepsiCo shutting down a Chicago plant, giving zero notice.
The workers here, like you said, they showed up to work and within, they say, just a couple of minutes asked to go home and try to very quickly find a new job.
No notice, none of that. Blindsided.
Eric Gadsden has been a Pepsi truck driver for 21 years.
So they gave them zero notice. They show up to work like usual. As soon as they get there, they're told to leave, and they even have police escort them out. So nice. So nice of them to do that. I mean, goodness gracious. What has happened to companies? They don't even give you the courtesy of giving you a few weeks notice or anything like that anymore. They don't even want to give you health insurance, right? Or your 401k. I mean, they used to match on 401k. They used to give nice vacation time. But instead, we're seeing the economy go south quickly. Job openings plunged to lowest levels since 2021 as the U.S. labor market loses steam. And we're seeing a lot of stories like this. We even had Tupperware, of all companies. The party is over. Let's see if I can get on the screen. The party's over as Tupperware files for bankruptcy. Everyone's filing for bankruptcy. French fry supplier, for main one for McDonald's, closes their doors. GM's main wheel supplier goes bankrupt. Discount Tire has to petition a court for the warehouse company that holds all their tires, saying, look, bro, these are our tires, not theirs. You can't use these in your lawsuit for their bankruptcy. Okay? It's so ridiculous at this point. I'm seeing them every other time I turn around. New company going under. You can see the price of houses. I saw a video of a guy from Scotland, I think it was. He was saying back in 1980, the average, I think it was 85, average wage was like $19,000 a year. House cost $42,000 a year, or $42,000 total for a house back then. Today, a house costs $288,000, and the average wage is $28,000. And I'm talking in pounds, British pounds. But so it used to cost 2 years' wage to buy a house back in 85. Now it costs 10 years of wages to buy a house in Scotland. So it's literally 5 times the price for a house in Scotland today. And it's the same here in America. I mean, it's pretty much gotten ridiculous like that. You can see it here in this graph. Houses have become very expensive at this point. And we're talking about what is their plan to rein in all this debt and to stabilize debt to GDP ratio. They're talking about a 10% increase in taxes. That's why you saw that seal of the United States fall from the podium when she was asked the question about the dollar falling, because the dollar is falling. And you can see here, they're saying that it's a lot easier to escape debt in an inflationary environment for the GOV. We're going to be broke really quickly unless we get serious about dealing with spending issues. And again, 45 has an excellent answer to all of this. He said it in Rogan's podcast. Did you just float the idea of getting rid of the income taxes and replacing it with tariffs? Were you serious about that? Sure, why not? Back in 1880, we did mainly tariffs, and we were very wealthy at that point in time as a country. And we've essentially gotten rid of a lot of the tariffs. That's why Iran now has money, has enough power, of course, to go to WAR in the Middle East. Back when he was in, they didn't have any money. They were completely broke. Tariffs work. They work in keeping order, balance. They bring in money. And the fact is, he's already talking about lowering the income taxes for businesses down to 15% from, what was it? They raised it a ton. I think it was 30 or something ridiculous. Matter of fact, I'm going to have to do taxes at the end of this year again. But the fact is, you can see that he's trying to get rid of a lot of your taxes. He's trying to rein in some of this cost. And if he does drill for oil, as he was talking about in that interview, he's going to be able to back the dollar with oil contracts, which is how we were able to stabilize the dollar before. So that would actually strengthen the dollar. It would strengthen our country. It would bring in a lot more money through oil. And also we could pay off some of the debt. So this is actually an actual plan that may do something positive. I think it's a much better plan than on the other side is basically going even farther down, nosediving even quicker. This at least tries to bring the plane back to, going horizontal, right? I think this will work. I think actually if he really goes deep into this, it will work and turn around our economy. We need to have the garbage man in there, my friends. Got to get the garbage man in there. Take out all the garbage, right? Of course, our wonderful beloved Prez tries to spin what he said and try to claim that he meant the ideas we're espousing about Puerto Rico is what he meant. But actually, his actual words were, the only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. So he clearly said that, right? Anyway, we're going to get into a ton of stuff in this video. First of all, I got to mention food supply, 25-year shelf life. And like I said, we're going to get into a number of other big stories here. Something from an ex-aide of hers. We're going to get into Jake Paul, what he said, this minister, and also something from Anna Kasparian, and actually a ton of other things. There's some other stuff too that was really important I got to get into. First of all, like I said, food supply, 25-year shelf life, 3 months worth for $6.97. You're going to definitely want to get this, my friends, considering all the wonderful stuff happening around us. You never know what's going to be next. Link is in the description for that. Also, this book here, The Lost Ways, how your great-great-grandfather lived without electricity, how to build a cellar, do things around the house like they did in the good old days, hundreds of pages illustrated. The fact of the matter is, you don't know what's next. It's wise to get that also. We never know. I mean, there could be a World WAR. Who knows what's next? Link is in the description. Get the printed version, $37 plus shipping. And also, of course, my website, GR Videos. Go check it out. Link is below for that. I got tons of videos over there of all the stuff I've talked about in the past. I also have some deep dives and exclusive videos over there. Link is in the description for that as well. Let's get back to the video. So, of course, JD is also on, apparently, Joe Rogan. And it's been out for a few hours now. And it's a long one, apparently over 3 hours long. And I watched a little bit of it. I haven't watched that much of it, but he was just talking about his family and stuff like that. And yeah, it seems like a nice guy, man. I mean, he's got some good ideas in there as well. I mean, him and 45 together, it's like 7 hours on Joe Rogan. Obviously putting a lot of content out there so you can get to know the people. And the fact is, she never went on there. She tried to offer them where they would have to fly and travel to where she's at, only to do an hour's worth. And he just wanted to get to know her. He didn't even want to pressure her on any topic at all. It sounds like he just wanted to get to know her. But apparently it never seemed to happen. Of course, one of her ex-aides came out. And if I can get this on the screen, let's see. Rogan needs her interview more than she needs it. Which I would not agree with. That doesn't make any sense. Why would he need her to come on? It doesn't even make sense. What? I mean, he's got a lot of people he can interview that can get a lot of views. And, I mean, there's no reason he would need to have her on. But that's the way she's playing it, apparently. Or at least that ex-aide is saying that. Then we have this here. We have Billy Boy, the computer guy Gates, has given $50 million to her, of course, campaign. This is while, of course, they were complaining about Elon giving away money. He was giving away a lot less than this. This is $50 million. He tried to hide this, of course. He did it through a 501c4, I think, and trying to make it so you wouldn't know who gave it. But apparently a lot of people figured it out anyway. So obviously you know where he's at and what he's all about. Not exactly what I would call a bastion of goodness. He would wear the Mr. Rogers clothes, but he's definitely not a Mr. Rogers, right? Lots of negative stuff following in his wake. But we have also, of course, Jake Paul apparently chiming in, saying who he supports, and apparently he's Force 45, my friends. Check this out.
Harris goes on a podcast saying that there is no law that governs a man's body.
Can we try to think of any law that gives the government the power to make a decision?
I know what you're going to ask.
About a man's body. Let's
No.
just
No.
Is there any law?
No. No.
Hey, Kamala, what about the draft, which requires men to fight for their country?
Yeah, that's kind of a good point there. I would say that's definitely a big one. Failure to register is a felony punishable by a fine up to $250,000 or 5 years imprisonment. That sounds like they don't have control. Definitely. And matter of fact, they just updated the draft to include women. And also, by the way, you don't have to fill out a card anymore. You're just automatically entered into the system at age 18. Everyone. I wonder why. Are they expecting something big coming? A world WR? Well, hopefully they don't get in to bring to pass what they want to do. I don't know what they're thinking, but that is rather curious that they've changed the draft on top of that. But obviously, I have no choice if I'm younger, if I'm 18, right? So they definitely don't have a choice in that case. Check this out. This is from a minister talking about certain groups being always required to support one side.
Why is it that the Democrat Party, the Donkey Party, loves to position minorities in a place where they lord over us and keep us subservient to their system? The only system that's truly harming and endangering minorities in this country.
And you get the idea of what he's saying there. He's definitely speaking some truth. I would say that they are definitely using them to get what they want. And then they don't give them anything back. They tell you they're going to do all this stuff for you, but they don't end up doing anything for you. I'm thinking, if anything, they're going to let more, of course, not so legals in, millions of them to take your jobs, and then on top of that, increase your taxes, which is exactly what they're going to do, because you can see she's going to do the same thing he did when he was in. They raised taxes, and they didn't solve anything. The GDP's gotten worse, right? You need someone that actually knows how to run a business in there, and she definitely is not that. Okay, she's a party girl. She's not what I would call a business person. And I keep seeing this floating around. People are talking about this video where there's some, I guess some guys in the background, and you can see he rolls his eyes up or something and has this weird smile. There's another guy over here who does the same thing. I'm like, I don't know what to think about it. It's kind of strange. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? Where's the other one at? Yeah, right there. So allegedly he does it too or something. Yeah, there he goes. He puts his eyes up too. Maybe he's looking at something up in the rafters and then he has a weird grin, or it could be, I guess, something else. It could be something evil. I guess it's possible. We don't know. This guy's smiling again over here as well, as you can tell. I don't know. It's a little strange. You guys can let me know what you think in the comment section below about it. But we have also, of course, apparently Anna Kasparian apparently defending 45. It's kind of interesting. Check this out.
Does racist things, and the notion of a fascist. Because look, if we're just going to use fascist toward anyone we dislike, all right, then the word doesn't actually mean anything.
Okay, what do you want me to say, Anna? You want me to say wannabe dictator?
Sure, you can say wannabe dictator, but I don't even think he wants to be a dictator.
Of course he does. That's what you do when you lose an election.
There goes Cenk freaking out, man. Yeah, well, she's saying he's not, of course, a fascist. And then she apparently put out a tweet about this as well, right here. Okay, fine, I'll bite. Fascism requires a militarized citizenry, conquest, imperialism, and elimination of governing bodies. And the notion that anyone who isn't a part of a master, of course, race should be deleted. So you can see here clearly that's not what he's about. It's not rocket science. They've clearly changed the definition. They're moving the goalposts of what the definition actually is. And they're just hoping that you buy it and believe it, That's basically what they're expecting. So also it's getting over to San Francisco, apparently not doing too well, hit with the downgrade over commercial real estate apocalypse. We're seeing California is a perfect example of what's wrong with America right now. They are the most in debt. They have the biggest disparity between their actual GDP in the state and their debt per year. California spent also $24 billion on homelessness, and I can't imagine its impact. So they're clearly not working out. If we just had California separate from us, they would be gone in no time flat. They have literally a massive disparity between, I think it was like 100, 200 billion or some ridiculous amount of money that they spent over the amount they make. Completely in debt. The worst out of all 50 countries, or states, not countries. And of course, their job openings also fall. The worst out of all 50 states. You can check here also, California's job openings fall 30%. California has seen job openings plunge 30% this year, even as its unemployment rate has spiked as businesses and residents alike fled the high taxes and soaring cost of living under Gavin, right? So you have that as well. And let's see, I can get over to this other article here. Oh yeah, this is actually interesting. So a lot of you have probably worked your entire life and you haven't seen a lot for it. Work 40 plus hours, 8 hours a day with only 2 days off a week until you get old without enjoying life, still have no money. They give you enough money to pay your bills, eat, finance your car, etc., etc. Maybe a small home if you're lucky. The same money they pay you goes back to them, and it's ridiculous. I mean, I was thinking about the other day, just how many taxes you pay. If you buy gold, they try to tax you, and they call it capital gains when the gold rises in value, which is the most ridiculous thing if you understand why gold is rising in value. Okay? Why is gold rising in value? Because the dollar is losing value. The gold is actually staying put. It's not moving. Your dollar's going down. Gold is staying in the same position. And because the gold gained value, because the dollar lost value, you have to pay a tax on that. Does that even make any sense? You have something of static value that doesn't move. The dollar loses value and you pay taxes because this didn't move. That's how much they tax you. It's ridiculous. I mean, you got Local Law 97 in New York City where they actually fine landlords for you breathing. You're literally paying for breathing in New York City. They tax you for everything now. It's ridiculous. So no one can afford anything. And on top of that, then they go and print money in 2020. Almost double the money in circulation. Most of the money goes to the rich people. Those that are in the banks particularly. And you and I got the little chump change stimulus checks, which amounted to nothing, a hill of beans. And now we're paying a tax in inflation to these rich people. So you're being taxed in inflation. You're being taxed to breathe. You're being taxed for everything now. This is why no one can afford anything. And they all call, well, this is to solve climate change. And we had to stop the economy because there's this, in 2020. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's all just excuses for them to get more money. And actually, they may be doing it again. They might print money again if they get back in. If they get back in, you're going to see this happen again. I think you're going to see it happen again. Okay, and if it does happen again, you can just say goodbye. Bye, dollar. It's just going to be like this video I showed you in the beginning where the plaque fell down. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Potential impact of the dollar status as the world.
That's what's going to happen to the dollar if they get back in. Okay, I'm just telling you. It's going to be, they're going to turn the printing machines on because everything's going to hell. And then they're going to make it worse by printing it because they're not balancing the budget, trying things like tariffs, drilling for oil, fixing the economy. They're not trying to do any of that. They're trying to basically make you broke. You will own, of course, nothing and at the same time be happy. That's while also on the outside, you have the Ruslans, those in bricks, want to dethrone the dollar. So you got guys on the inside basically going to dethrone the dollar. You got guys on the outside trying to dethrone the dollar. Everyone's against you pretty much. Other than maybe 45, maybe a few other people out there. I'm sure there's some third party guys that are good. I don't, okay, whatever, but I don't think they're going to get in. So you might as well go for 45. And I'm hoping he doesn't make the mistakes he made the first time. He did make a couple mistakes at the end. His last year, I think he really screwed that up. He actually got talked into letting him print the money. He didn't want to stop the economy. You remember that? He didn't want to stop it. They kept saying, well, we got to stop it. And like everybody was saying it. Like all the representatives, we got to stop it. I wonder why they were saying it. He should have just stuck to his own thoughts and just didn't stop the economy and let it continue because it would have been fine. Next, we have Neiman Marcus quietly bans Christmas from iconic 98-year-old gift catalog, and workers are livid. So you got that. obviously trying to get rid of, Christmas. We have what's going on with the banks, just to give you an understanding on how much different it is from 2008. Remember, they had this huge banking crisis 2008. This is it right here. You see that little thing there? You see this big thing? This is now. See how much bigger it is? This is how much losses these banks have right now. Obviously, it's going to be a much bigger crash when it happens. Just so you know. We're talking $750 billion in losses on real estate debt. All right. And of course, we're seeing some good news in Pennsylvania. That's a very important state. It looks like it's going to be for probably 45 the way the numbers are working. You can see this negative 9,256 here. You can see all these negatives have actually eroded the blue to the red. You saw in 16 it was red. 2020 barely blue. This time we got a negative 9,000. It's likely going to be red. And that's actually one of the most important states from what I understand as well. So that's some interesting thing to look at. But there's actually a ton of other things. If they get back in, you might be seeing this as well. And there's a reason why he's saying it. Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, worries World WAR3 might have already begun. Why would he say that? Well, maybe because he's invested in it. BlackRock and JP Morgan are leading a $15 billion investment to rebuild Ukraine. BlackRock alone potentially profiting $1 trillion. So that shows you that they're invested in this for money. They're making money off things that are, I would call, not good. I think tariffs are a lot better than WAR.